you think we could solve these equations? Write your ideas and try it. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. If they have the same base, we're going to drop the log, and we're going to set what's on the inside equal to each other, and then solve. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. What's 5 minus 2? 3, yay! All right, on the next one, we're going to have the same base, so we can drop the base, and we're going to take our insides, set them equal to each other, and we're going to get x equals 3. It would not be negative 3 because you cannot take a log of a negative number. So it would not be negative. Okay, so we just talked about the fact that if you have the same base, okay, if you have the same base on both sides, you can drop that base, so we cancel those out, and set the insides equal to each other. If you have a quadratic, the first thing that you need to do is you need to move everything to one side. Okay, and then you would factor, and then you would take these and then plug them back in. When I plug back in negative 7 into this original equation, I get the same thing on both sides. That means that it's going to work. Okay, so negative 7 works. And then when I plug it in negative 1 into both sides, I also see that it works. Okay, that's not always the case. But our answers would be negative 7 and negative 1. Over here, what we're going to do is, since it's the same on both sides, we're going to drop the logs and set both sides equal to each other. Can you solve from here? Take a moment, try that. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. And so 2 minus 4 is going to give me negative 2. We're going to divide by 14 on both sides. And so that's going to give us, so negative 1/7, right? If we take negative 1/7 and we plug it into our original function, because remember, we always have to check. When we check this, and we plug this in, then we get the same thing on both sides. Obviously, if you need to plug this into Desmos to make sure it's the same thing, that's fine. But it does work, so yes, this is our answer. Is over here, if you got something set up like this, you always want the log by itself. You're going to subtract 2 from both sides, and that's why they got negative 27. Then they divided it by negative 9 on both sides. Okay, and then they did something a little different from what we've done in the past. Because once you get here, you can do the circle of life. Okay, so once you get here, remember, log of base e is the same thing as ln. It's almost like a nickname. And you can do the circle of life for this. So e to the 3rd power equals x plus 7. What they did right here, though, is they took e and raised both sides to whatever was already written. If you do it to one, you have to do it to the other. So when they did this cancels that ln, which is a little weird. Okay, that's why they could bring down that x plus 7. Okay. Then we subtract 7 on both sides. That gives me e to the 3rd power minus 7 equals x. We're going to do the same thing to this side. Okay. So that first one was just an example problem. On the right-hand side, the first thing we're going to do is subtract 3 plus Oh, gosh. All right, negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. And then we're gonna divide by -6. So now we can do the circle of life. Since our base is 10, we're gonna go base, outside, finish. So we'll have 10 to the second power equals x minus 8. 10 to the second power is 100. So then we're going to add 8 to both sides. And that's going to give us x equals 108. Oh, let's look at this next one. Okay, so really quick, what they did here, this is a reminder from last week. If you have addition going on in between two logs, then what you're going to do is multiply these two things. So x plus 6 times x, that'll multiply right here, okay? And then what you're going to do is, since this guy is a quadratic, you would move everything to one side and then factor. So that's why they got all the way down to here. Now, when we check for extraneous solutions on this one, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that -8 does not work. Okay, the only answer that works is 2. And the reason why is because we cannot take a log of a negative number. Well, when we plug in -8 to this first part, that would give us log of -6. Okay, and that doesn't work. So the only answer on this one would be 2. So we're going to try it on this problem. We're going to take log of base 4 of x plus 16 times x, and we're going to set that equal to log of base 4 of 57. So we're multiplying what's inside these two things. How many of y'all are taking the SAT on March 22nd? Okay, this is on there. Okay, yes, March 22nd, this stuff is on there. Okay, so with that being said, they always have it written like this, and then they say, hey, condense or hey, solve. That's always one of the problems. When we distribute this junk, we get x squared plus 16x. Okay, and since these are the same, we're going to drop the log. And then we're going to move 57 to the other side. And I'll give you a second to catch up before I go on. Once we get here, we have a quadratic. So what's going to happen is we have a times c, which is -57, and b, which is 16. What two numbers can I multiply together to get me -57, but add together to get me 16? That's going to be 19 and -3. And yeah, I wouldn't have known that unless I did this problem earlier this month. Just gonna be honest. Okay, so this is gonna give me x plus 19 times x minus 3, which is gonna give me as solutions -19 and 3. Again, I'll give you a second. Okay, so if I take this -19 and I plug it back in, that's going to give me a negative number. We can't have that happen. So -19 would not be an answer. If we take 3 and we plug it back in, it equals both sides. So x equals 3 would be our final answer. We would not include -19. Okay? All right, so on the next one, I want you to go ahead and try this problem. Go ahead and try this one. This one, you've got a base 10 right here. We're going to start at the base, go to the outside, finish. So this is going to be 10 to the second power equals 2x plus 20. Well, what's 10 squared? 100. And then we want to subtract 20 from both sides. And so that's going to give me 80 equals 2x. Divide by 2 on both sides. So x would equal 40. Yeah. Fortunately, if this is a multiple choice question, all you would have to do is take your answer choices and plug in and see if that equals 2. A lot of people in my last class were struggling with, if it has like a number down here for the base, remember you have to go to the little keyboard in Desmos and then go to functions and then find the one that says log a base A. Okay, you can't just type log in for that one. Okay.